If you're either just starting your real estate photography business or thinking about starting, one of the things that's probably on your mind is, how do I grow this business quickly? Like, what are the right steps to take where you're gonna waste the least amount of time? And so on this video, I'm gonna talk about exactly that and share with you the things I would do if I had to restart at $0 per month, things that I would do to get my business to 10K a month from that point with as little wasted time as possible and without spending money, because I know that a lot of you that are just starting are tight financially and money is a concern, and it would be for me too, and it was when I was starting my business. And so here are the exact steps I would take. Now, what I'm not going to be sharing with you is the steps that I did take. Maybe I'll share them, but I'm not going to say that that was the route you should go, because I did about everything you could possibly do wrong when I was starting my business. And so on this video, my goal is to help you not do that so you can grow from 0 to 10K much more quickly than I did. So the first step that I take is to actually learn how to be a real estate photographer, like to have the skill of real estate photography so that I could find clients to market that skill to. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I was starting, and that so many photographers or non-photographers, basically anybody getting into this business makes, is they think they need to be a really good photographer, and they think that becoming a really good photographer requires a lot of experience, and that really just isn't true. And for me, it distracted me because I was like, oh, I need to learn how to do this, and I have all this I need to learn. And yes, you do need to learn a lot, but it can be done in a very short period of time. And an example I like to give is when we hire a photographer at my photography company, Norman & Young, they're generally ready to shoot for us, not just photos, but videos, 3D tour. They have their drone license, they know all of our processes, in around 2 weeks. And so that shows that in 2 weeks or less, especially if you work hard, you can be at the point where you're ready to sell your real estate photography skills. It's not something that requires years of experience or a lot of complication. In fact, one of the bigger mistakes that a lot of photographers make is they spend so much time thinking that improvement with their skills is going to equate to more money, and then they do that forever. They spend a ton of time on it, and they wonder why they don't make any money. So the first thing you need to do is learn the skill. If you don't have access to something like my coaching program, if you're wanting to do this on your own for whatever reason, you're going to want to watch as many YouTube videos as you possibly can in a short period of time, but try to pay a special emphasis on the videos that keep it really simple. So if a real estate photographer starts talking about flash, or they start talking about any kind of complicated workflow, if they show you how to edit your own photos, all of those are red flags that I highly encourage you to avoid. So what you're gonna wanna do, and I talk about this more in my workshop that you can find linked below, but you wanna keep it very basic. Very basic entry-level gear is good. I recommend the Canon M50 if you're just getting started, especially if you don't want to spend a lot of money. I recommend shooting auto exposure bracketing, which I have another video on here on the channel. But basically what it is you're not using a flash or anything like that. Every photo is made up of 3 photos. An underexposed photo that's gonna be pretty dark, a middle exposure or correctly exposed photo that looks decent, and then an overexposed photo, a blown out photo that's gonna get the shadows. And you're gonna send those to an editor. Your camera will do auto exposure bracketing for you. And again, I have a video on that. But you're gonna send those 3 photos to an editor who's gonna make them come back looking awesome to you. And you don't have to use any flash, and you don't even have to know how to edit. In fact, in my coaching program, we have videos showing people how to edit, but we bury them and tell them to avoid that because it's not a skill that you need to learn to be successful doing this. And remember, the point of this video is how you're gonna go from 0 to 10K a month the most quickly. And that's what we're gonna stay focused on. So simple gear, auto exposure bracketing, and a whole lot of YouTube videos if you don't have access to a coaching program. So to sum up, the first thing I would do, which is actually learn the real estate photography, the biggest thing I think you can do is set a 2 to 3 week stopwatch basically and go, if I had to learn all of this in 2 to 3 weeks, how would I do that? And how you're gonna do that is by learning from others and just figuring out what is required to do a good enough job that agents are gonna be happy with your photos. Kind of like I mentioned, real estate photography, the secret weapon is the editing. And so all you have to do is learn how to shoot auto exposure bracketing and then find a good editor that will edit them for less than $1 an image for you, and you're up to speed as a real estate photographer. And when it comes to video, it's exactly the same. You're gonna shoot the video and you're gonna send it to an editor. It is going to take you so much longer to learn all of that editing yourself. So we're a couple weeks in and you now understand how to shoot real estate. What's next? And the most important next step is to stop spending any time on anything you spent time on the first couple weeks. The skill set you have is good enough. You don't need a portfolio that's massive. You don't need a bunch of stuff. And that's a big mistake a lot of photographers make. So once we're 2 weeks in, we know how to shoot real estate, we got our drone license, everything like that. Next step is to focus exclusively on client acquisition. And that's just a fancy word for getting clients. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I highly recommend the Instagram method. And so if it was me at this point, I know how to shoot real estate and I have nothing else going for me, I would spend every available hour I have on the Instagram method reaching out to clients. In fact, that's one of the biggest things that you can do to separate yourself from other real estate photographers who basically just sit around and wait for business. They do a couple shoots, they send a couple messages, they maybe go to a networking event, but they don't really push it, and they don't say, hey, what is the most effective thing that I could be doing with my time? And then let me spend all my time on that. So after this 2 weeks of learning how to shoot real estate, you're not gonna see Eli for a while. I'm gonna be in my bedroom doing the Instagram method over and over and over, because that is what is going to bridge the gap from my current $0 a month income plus skill to a $10,000 a month income plus that same skill. It's all about how many clients you have. All right, so you've been grinding out the Instagram method for a couple weeks, sending dozens, if not hundreds, maybe even 1,000 messages, which I know sounds crazy, but also how easy does it sound that potentially just 1,000 messages could be between you and a $10,000 a month real estate photography business? For me, that's kind of exciting. And so I've locked myself in my room and I've grinded out the Instagram method, and now it's working and I'm starting to get shoots. So what next? Well, with the Instagram method, we offer a free first shoot, because one of the best things about real estate media is that the clients are repeat clients. So we can do just about anything out there possible to show them our service and our experience, because if they like it, even if we gave it away for free, they're gonna keep using us over and over and over again. So you're starting to get some shoots from this. You've offered those free shoots. What do you do now? Well, you need to make the experience that the client has as good as humanly possible and just really over deliver. A lot of photographers at this point say things like, oh, I wouldn't give away free because it devalues me and all this other stuff. And really what devalues you, in my opinion, more than anything else is making $0 a month, right? You can't say you're devalued if you're not making any money. And you also can't say someone that is making a ton of money because they used a smart strategy to get clients is being devalued, right? It's really interesting to me that the photographers out there that are making the least money are saying they would never do the things that devalue them, but those same things they say devalue them are the things that are making photographers out there a whole lot of money. So really, where's the value, right? The value is the person who is being paid. That's where the value is. And so that's how you get value, right? By offering value to other people. And I know I just said the word value a ton. I hope you understood the point there. So at this point, we're going to do some free shoots. What do we do to make those shoots a great experience so the client wants to use you again? Well, number one is you gotta shoot good photos. You know how to do that. Your editor's gonna make the photos awesome, but more than that, you have to make it so they really enjoy working with you and trust working with you. And so here's a couple things you can do. Number one, you show up on time. I don't know how more people don't put an emphasis on this, but here's the truth about showing up on time or 5 minutes early like we try to do at my business. If someone cares if you're late, they'll appreciate that you showed up on time. And if there's someone that's more laid back and doesn't care, they won't notice anyway, so it doesn't hurt either way, right? Every person is okay with you showing up 5 minutes early and being there when they get there. Next thing that you can control really easily besides showing up on time is you can dress nicely. Don't show up looking like a slob, because the way you represent and present yourself is the way that their client feels about that agent's business. So as a real estate photographer, you work for a real estate agent and you represent their brand. One of the easiest things you can do is dress nicely and be professional, because that reflects nicely on their brand. And later down the road, the more you do that, obviously you'll get more clients, but also if the agent trusts you and you represent yourself well, they stop showing up to the shoots. And that makes your life so much easier because you can do the shoot faster and get on to the next one and make more money. And so dress nicely. When you get to the shoot, make sure not to be so focused on the camera and the shooting itself that you forget to talk with the client and explain to them the process and make them feel comfortable. Remember, it may be your 100th real estate photo shoot, but it's probably their first one, so they don't know what to do. And so we always recommend introducing yourself and then explaining the process. What I usually say is, once I'm done introducing myself, is, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk around and turn on all the lights and prep the property, straighten things. And is it okay if I move a couple things if I see something that can be tweaked? They're probably gonna say yes most of the time. And you say, awesome, well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then if you wouldn't mind going to that room, just pick a random bedroom, tell them to go wait in there. Tell them you're gonna start on the other side of the house and work your way back this way. That way you don't catch them in a bunch of photos because your lens is super wide. They're gonna be like, awesome. If you don't tell them that, the experience is weird. They're like, should I be here? They're gonna be in all your photos. It's just being like, hey, go wait over there. I'm gonna work my way through here. Then when I'm done, I'm gonna shoot the exterior, and then I'll come back and put everything back the way I found it, and we'll be all good to go. That process should take about 45 minutes to an hour. They're like, awesome, right? The real estate agent sees that you're professional. It's a whole experience that's great so far. You do the shoot, right? You put everything back, you're very respectful. And then what's the next step? Well, you're gonna send the photos to your editor and you're gonna get them back first thing the next morning from that editor. It's really common in real estate media. Deliver the photos first thing in the morning, and then you're not just gonna leave it at that. You're gonna take it a step further. and you're gonna call them and say, hey, I just delivered the photos. One thing I want you to know about working with me is that I customize my services to your preferences. So first of all, if there's anything you want edited differently or retouched out, let me know. Number two, if you have any preferences, maybe you want laundry room shot, you don't want toilets and photos, any preferences at all, just let me know and I'll put that in my notes that I always make sure to do that for you going forward. And then lastly, we explain the software we use that allows them to have a property website and a bunch of marketing materials, and I walk them through that software. And so that provides a whole lot of value, that experience from start to finish, where they're gonna be like, man, that was a great experience. I like working with that person. Next listing, I'm gonna give them a call and do the magic thing, which is pay them for a shoot, and then you get paid and you have a client who, as long as you keep doing that for them, is going to keep using you. And again, that's one of the best things about real estate media, is that when you get a client, you keep working with that client. So it's not like weddings or a lot of other businesses, right? Where you do something once for a client, then you have to go find another client. That would suck. With real estate media, every client you get is like stair-stepping income. So you have one client, you make $500 a month or whatever that client pays you, sometimes a lot more than that. You have two clients, now you're making $1,500 a month. You have four clients, you're making whatever, right? And it keeps growing, and that's so awesome because I don't wanna always have to be selling. Right? I don't want to have to be always reaching out to people, always trying to find new clients. Like, I want to get my client base, and then I want them to just keep calling me, and I do their shoots, and I don't have to worry about anything else. Okay, so what's next? Well, what's next is literally just a rinse and repeat of that. Keep using the Instagram method, keep really putting in the work, and keep really over delivering when you shoot for clients. Before you know it, you're not doing very many free shoots, you're doing a whole lot of paid shoots, and your business is growing. And the best part about real estate media is getting to 10K doesn't require anyone besides you. You don't have to hire any photographers. Yeah, you'll use an editor, but that's not an employee. That doesn't cost a ton. And you only pay for that when you get a shoot, which is super awesome. And so you'll be able to scale to somewhere between 12, maybe 15, and in some cases 18 or 20K a month before you ever hire an employee. That means you have the potential to make pretty good money without ever building your business out. You can just basically be self-employed, not even really having like a business in terms of employees. And that's nice because it's really simple. And then, at least if you're in coaching, we recommend you don't hire anybody until you get to at least 15K a month. But once you get to that point, you get to decide, hey, do I want to maximize my income as a solo photographer, maybe by raising prices or whatever else, including more upsells or just generally things you can do to increase your average order value? Or do you want to do what I did at Norman & Young, which is keep scaling your business by hiring employees? If you do that, the sky's the limit, and that's awesome. And I think it's even cooler because in photography in general, in my opinion, there's just not a lot of scalable niches. You'll see a lot of photographers who make decent money just by themselves, but you don't really see scale like you do in real estate media. There are nationwide companies that have grown very significantly in this business, and you just don't see that with other forms of photography. And that's what I like about real estate media is you have so many options in this niche. And it's up to you to pick what you want your business and your life to look like, and then use real estate media to help you build that vision. And the last thing I'll say that I really wish I would have done differently is for the first 5 years of my business, I didn't know that there was anybody out there to learn from, partly because there wasn't, but also because I thought my business was special and like only I could do the things I was doing. And so I didn't look for someone to pay for consulting, or I didn't look for coaches. I didn't have any communities that would help me grow my business. And you're probably thinking, of course you're gonna say that, Eli, you have a coaching program, so it's in your interest to say, hey, I wish I had coaching. Well, the truth is a lot of business owners start their business to solve problems that they had. And if I look back on my business, my first 5 years took me forever to grow. Most of our students grow way faster because they don't have to make all the mistakes. Like I said at the start of this video, I made every single mistake in the book. So whether you learn from me or you learn from somebody else, I highly encourage you to find somebody who has the business or has been where you want to go and learn from them. That's what I try to do in my business. And with my coaching business, that business has absolutely exploded because I've done the same thing in that business. I've looked for other people who've been there and say, hey, you built a coaching program teaching people how to do this. What can I learn from you? How can I learn from you to do the same thing in my business? And so all this to say, again, not saying the only option for you is to join my coaching program. What I am saying is find somebody who's been there and learn from them. And if you do that, you'll make this process much more quickly. And what I want to end on is I think so many people have such a long time horizon. They're like, man, I'll get to 10K one day. We've seen people over and over again build their business from 0 to 10K in a matter of months, 0 to 10K a month. And so it's totally possible. And I think something that I didn't know at the start was that was possible. And so I thought, hey, maybe one day, and I had this slow growth in mind and I just didn't do the work required. And so what I would encourage you to do is set your sights on a bigger goal than you probably think is possible. I remember specifically feeling like 4K a month was like $1 million. And so I was super excited to just even get my business there. And that was my initial goal. And I wish I would have set a bigger goal and I would have known that it was possible to grow quickly, because then I think I would have taken those action steps. So that's all for this video. If you want to learn more about what our coaching program would look like for you, there's a link below where you get to talk with Rod, Carl, or Philippe on my team. And their job is to talk about your market with you, your goals, and share with you what coaching would look like, because it's custom to everybody, your market, your goals, and your availability. So highly encourage you to check that out. I'll see you in the next video.